So some of you guys have made it abundantly clear that you do not want to support the channel on Patreon and therefore have access to my podcast and random posts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. But I'm giving you an alternative. I have the exercise all-in-one wrist twisting stick. Now this thing is only $79.95. You can order it today from the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding website, and therefore you can learn how to twist your hands like this. Hey, there you go. See, look at that. All the forearm development you're going to get from that, amazing, right? Just the stick. Moss is included, free moss. Not just that. I mean, if you add another $50 to your order, you get the all-in-one exercise rock brick. You can lift it many different ways. You can look at it. You can sit on it if you want. Like I have at times. I've sat on rocks and help ground myself. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, you can get massive results just from using this rock, and you can only get the rock from the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding website. So if you have not taken advantage of this deal, then I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it right now. You don't want to be a mountain, and there's a reason why not everybody can be one, because you're a
train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. Before I start, guys, make sure you check out my podcast on my Patreon page. I am doing some regular podcasts on there where I talk about all these things that I talk about on YouTube as well, but I may elaborate further because sometimes there are topics that are subtopics of subtopics of subtopics, and to make an individual video might not necessarily be a clickable sort of thing. So I can talk about these things in the podcast, and plus it's an audio file you can take with you to work and listen in your car, whatever, wherever you are. So yeah. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I would like to talk to you about a muscle that may be contributing to shoulder pain and or a lack of flexibility in your bench press or pressing type movements when you're training chest. And this is something I stumbled across by accident because when you train, sometimes you tweak things and sometimes you experiment and sometimes you heal things, right? So it's kind of like those guys with the cars, they're always beating them up and blowing them up. I know there's a couple channels on YouTube where guys like blow up McLarens and Ferraris and do these crazy things to them, and then they learn how to fix them and they do something different to them and stuff. So it's kind of like that. We're kind of using our body like a Ferrari, right? And what I'm going to say is there are sometimes simple fixes for painful problems. And sometimes you're like, what the hell? I wish I would have known this years ago. So anyway, long story short, if you are doing pressing movements and you're getting some sort of pain or tightness, or you're noticing a lack of flexibility, one muscle that may be contributing to it is your subscapularis muscle or your lat, right? So, or a combination of both. So the subscapularis muscle pulls the arm down, straight down like this, and the lat assists with that. If you're confused about what the subscapularis muscle does, it's basically just like those judo chop robots that we had back in the 80s. You know, those action figures? Judo chop, judo chop, judo chop, judo chop. But the hand's a little bit more pronated. So basically, if my hand is pronated and I push down like this, I will flex a muscle in here. That's the subscapularis. So you can actually do that with yourself. You can actually put your hand on a desk and then push down like that. And in here, in the armpit, you're going to feel a muscle called the subscapularis or subscap. So one way to fix this problem, one way sometimes, is with massage therapy, where a massage therapist can go in there and release any trigger point or spasm or problem with the muscle. But if the muscle is lacking flexibility in some way, shape, or form, a great way that you can address this is by doing lightweight, let me just say this, lightweight in the stretch position, dumbbell pullovers. I know, simple, right? So simple. Sometimes you get away from exercise because you're like, oh, maybe it's not the way to put on muscle mass, but there are some exercises that are great for recuperation, recovery, rehabilitation, and other exercises that are great for putting on muscle mass. So in that tradition, I noticed that when I do super lightweight with this, but do little pumping reps in the stretch position, I got a great amount of flexibility and a good sort of burn in the back of the delt for some reason, because that's where a lot of the muscles attach and stuff. So there's a whole symphony of stuff going on in there. But what I noticed was there was a certain sort of twinge that was going on in my shoulder when I was using a certain range of motion that totally went away. So what I'm going to say to you is that by incorporating a little bit of a lat stretch after you do your pull down movements, you can do two things. And this goes in alignment with a video that I posted a few days ago. One thing it does is that you can do some back training and then now stretch it out. And by doing so, you are applying the pump and stretch principle. But the other thing you can do is also apply the rehabilitation by doing movements in the stretched state, super light. And I talked about this with dumbbell presses a long time ago, but this is also another way that you can rehabilitate a different part of the range of motion. By doing small ranges of motion in the stretch position, you are stretching the muscle safely, but at the same time, you are getting a good burn in that area. So you're teaching it how to function properly in that range of motion. So the trick is that you never want to relax the muscle with a dumbbell pullover. I know, my shitty cameraman, who isn't here right now, but he basically was doing dumbbell pullovers and he almost dislocated his shoulder. So he basically said he felt something in there. Well, the problem is with that is that if you are doing a dumbbell pullover but you're relaxing on the bottom, that will be a problem. You never want to relax the muscles, and you also want to focus on trying to pull the elbows in slightly. Now, you're not going to accomplish this all the way. Like when you come back up over your head, you're going to notice the elbows flare a bit, but you're going to want to try to bring the elbows in at the same time, and therefore that's going to help protect the shoulder joint and the labrum, of course. And I have to be really conscious of that for myself, but you guys will avoid a massive amount of injuries if you just do that simple thing and just use lightweight and make sure you maintain tension on the muscle. So yeah, by doing this, you may be able to bench press in a different range of motion with less pain, and or dip, or do many other exercises that have to do with pressing. So I look forward to hearing from you guys about your experience by applying this technique. But like I said, sometimes a movement might not be the best for bodybuilding, but it might be the best for you to be able to continue to train in a certain way. So just because you might have gotten away from dumbbell pullovers for one reason, it might be effective for a different reason altogether.
Mountain.
So yeah, I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters. And make sure you sign up for my newsletter and join on Patreon if you can. So I'll see you later.
Mountain. Mountain. Mountain.